Hello family, welcome back to another episode of Forever Together with the Ekimas. I am Ekima Emmanuel.
Daphne Ekima is my name, and together we are
The Ekimas.
Welcome to Forever. This is our perfect synchrony, like leather and feathers. No matter the weather, we can storm the umbrellas. Take a stroll in my heart. Let's take this further when I'm beside you, baby. See my stakes get better. Let me bet it all. Destiny vendettas. Rosy the emotional description of this love. I am yours, you are mine. The only thing that matters now. We are the Ekimas.
In this week's episode, we are taking you through our labor and delivery journey for baby number 1 and baby number 2, and all things to expect when you are expecting.
When you're expecting, for us men, it's really something. Some, for the first baby, it just goes through. You don't know what's happening. You're like, okay, all you're waiting for is the baby. You don't know the cravings. You don't know the contractions. You know nothing about it. For some, what's even funny is that even the second baby will come by and be like, yeah, I think it was the same. In this week's episode, we are going to debunk that. Men must be involved to support their women. It's our problem. It's not a you problem. It's our problem, and we shall be in position to debunk that. So, baby.
Yeah. So, first to begin maybe is that looking back, we've had 2 babies now and a third one on the way, as it must be very obvious. Yeah, so first of all, looking back, I think I'll ask you first, baby, do you, from your experience, this video is specifically about labor, because pregnancy is very broad, but this is more to do with labor and delivery. Do you remember how our labors were for the 2 babies? And does it look like it was the same or they were totally different? What memory do you have of?
I have a clear memory of all, but I remember is that for the first one, our first baby, I was really prepared. As I told you, I've shared this. I had to go and buy a book to understand this entire journey we are in. Pregnancy process. I went to Aristotle, looked for a pregnancy book. It could show me at each stage, each week, in the 3 trimesters, the first one, what to expect, the second one. The third one is now where things are happening. Hey, guys, you see me speaking, I'm an expert now of these things. So I read about it, and so I was more prepared. Every time something could happen, mood swings. Yeah, it was not shocking. When your moods change, I noticed that, okay, they said in these weeks, the moods are likely to change. In this week, the baby is likely to do this. So I was more prepared for the coming of the firstborn, because it was my first. I was anxious. I was also excited. You know, first babies. I mean, no offense to the rest. We love you all, but the first one, it's always first. So that's how it was. But towards delivery, I remember what happened, and you will share that, is that I was actually traveling. I was traveling up country, and then you go to the doctor and find out that you're going to give birth, how to make a U-turn and come back. But before we reach there, I want you to take us through, how was it like?
For me?
Yes,
yeah,
for you.
So the first one, honestly, you don't know what to expect. And that's probably why we're doing this video, for someone out there who's like, what should I expect? There is so much information on the internet. You will read. I used to consume content. YouTube, oh my God.
Trust me,
I think that's when I fell in love with YouTube. When I was pregnant, I watched YouTube videos like labor, what, first trimester, what to expect, etc. I was literally consuming information. And then my sister was also pregnant at the time, but like 3 months ahead of me. So when she was going to give birth, I'm like, let me go and
get some
experience. Yes, see how it is. And so I traveled with her. She was going to give birth from Nairobi. I stayed with her for like one month or 2. And then I was present for her labor. My God, it was the most traumatizing experience I've ever had. I was 7 months pregnant. You cannot go backwards. You cannot say, God, can this baby, can this cup of suffering be taken away from me? So in trying to consume so much content, sometimes it can be to your disadvantage. So I remember I experienced her labor. She was in labor for like the whole, from evening to the next day. At some point, she even went in a coma. They had put her on oxygen. And then after all that excruciating pain, she ended up in a C-section. So I was so sure. No one would tell me that you can have an easy labor after experiencing that. And I remember saying, God, is there a way of reversing this? You're 7 months in, that means you have to deliver the baby, because once you're pregnant, there's no shortcut. It doesn't matter whether you're scared or not. So I remember when I came back to Kampala, I started telling baby, you know what? We have to look for another hospital. Imagine 7 months, we started hospital hunting. I'm like, we have to find a hospital that does epidurals.
Yeah.
I am not going to stand that pain. We moved. Every week we were in a different hospital. We went, I don't know which hospital, we went to the other one. These ones would say, oh, we don't do epidural. These ones, oh, and there were not so many options at that time. And I remember we went to one hospital that told us they do, and then we researched, we found all these side effects that people experience. Now, why am I sharing this? Is that when you are expecting, there's no one size fits all. Even if you're blood sisters, and my mom had told me that her labors were always bad, so I always assumed
it's genetic.
It was going to be the same for me. And then my sister's labor was terrible, so I knew. And then at some point I'm like, I think let me just go and do an emergency C-section and move on. One thing I'm grateful for, honestly, is that you never judged me. Because I remember I went to some hospital. I won't mention the name, that hospital, you guys. The lady looked at me because we were booking for epidural, and they told us, well, it's not usually given. And I said, okay, I think I'll just do an emergency. The chick looked at me, she told me, but you, what kind of woman are you? She told me, what kind of woman are you? We have here the likes of, which started quoting some celebrities. They come here and push their babies, and you know.
Who are you?
Who are you? I'm like, what? What in that? I'm like, why? Why don't we get to decide what we want to do with our bodies? Anyway, I felt so judged, and let's just say, long story short,
we left that hospital.
We left that hospital, by the way. That one was disqualified.
We went to another one.
And that whole time, baby would just keep driving. Okay, we go to the next one, let's go. We go to the next one, let's go. And on the day when I gave birth, I had actually just arrived at that hospital. So baby was traveling. He was going to be away for some time, I think.
Yeah.
And he's like, let me drop you to this hospital. You first check in. You're just a few days away or weeks. And, you know, so I arrive and the doctor tells me, where are your bags? I'm like, what are you talking about? Where are my bags? He tells me, you're in labor. I'm like, I'm in labor? What are you talking about? I still have
I don't
weeks.
see anything.
Yes. What's labor? What do you mean by labor? And that's another thing. Labor will look so many different things, because I had all this textbook symptoms of what labor should look like. This guy is telling me, I'm in labor, where are your bags? I'm like, my bags, I don't even know if I'm going to stay in this hospital. I'm just here.
What foresee your services?
Me, I'd come for antenatal. So the guy tells me, go home, pack your things, and come back. You're having the baby today. And now I start calling you. So maybe you can tell that part of the story.
So what's funny is that it was our journey. We went through that journey. I mean, it was an amazing journey. But let me tell you, much as we moved to almost, I think, 10 hospitals, that also helped us. Out of panic and anxiety, and wanting to know more, and wanting to, get to the detail. What does this do? When this happens, when this discharge happens, what is the meaning of that? This helped us. We got to notice that she's a minus, I am. Rhesus minus, I'm a rhesus positive.
Blood group.
And man, we never knew about that. And they were like, if you deliver your firstborn without taking a shot, there's an injection, anti-D, you take. Without taking that medicine, you are likely to have a miscarriage for the next baby. Because
or even that very one.
Or that very one. So we're like, wow. I mean, in all other hospitals that were moved in,
they had not told us
about that. And we just discovered about that. So amidst all that anxiety and that, we got some good things out of that. We got to not. That's why I encourage guys, please do a blood group test. Get to know your blood type. Also for your spouse, so that just in case you are ready for it. Because what happened is the next baby, I think the second born, when they were saying that she does not have enough blood and what, we had already booked somebody because we knew somebody who had the same, who donate, who donate. So we had called, we were like, please be on standby so that can help us. So in all this, please just seek all the knowledge you need to seek. I mean, it's okay to move from hospital to hospital trying to find out. I mean, you will discover different things. So for us, it was that. On that day, I dropped her to some hospital. I'm like, go do the checkup and you let me know. You will head home. Only to be called when I was almost halfway. The doctors told me, we're going to deliver today. I'm like, are you okay? So I made the U-turn. Yeah. So baby, how was that?
Cancelled the plan.
I had to cancel the plan.
I think also the fact that always err on the side of caution. Very important. Error on the side of caution. It is okay to be overly cautious. Doctors don't like that. Midwives hate it. But you will thank yourself for it, like you said. So on that day anyway, we checked into the hospital. I took long. I stayed at home because I didn't see any symptoms.
Did a lot of
they
cleaning.
tell you things like, yes, they tell you things like, oh, you have is it mucus plug? You have water breaking, like in the movies. Nothing. For me, I was okay. And in the evening, the doctor calls me and tells me, Madam, you're not yet in hospital. You who I checked in the morning. So anyway, we packed our things and we headed for the hospital. It was quite a distance from our home. And when we arrived, it's like God was waiting for us to arrive at the hospital. My water broke. They took me in. 2 hours and something I had pushed. And for me, what that taught me was that, like, everything happened so fast. I kept waiting for the part where I go through all the
pain.
It was very painful. That's the truth. Very painful. The most painful hours of my life, I think. And I remember respecting my mom so much. I was like, this lady, how did she push the 7 of us? And then with the fact that she always said that her pregnancies were always bad. So anyway, 2.5 and something hours, baby was born. We arrived at midnight. She was born at 2:59 or 3 sharp. She was born. And, you know, in like the next day, we were going back home. But I never experienced, I don't know, mucus plug. I don't know. All those things for me always happen seconds to giving birth, not before. Meaning if I wait for so long, I can actually even deliver like at home. So for baby number 2, I thought the story would be the same. The same. Completely different. So for baby number 2, I think we've shared before, I got COVID along the way, then got high blood pressure. Towards the end, I had preeclampsia and they had to induce me. Now, I remembered, of course, my sister also, she had gone through an induction. And I believed that when you're induced, you actually have more excruciating pain. But I waited for the pain to come, like the whole day. After that induced me, the whole day, I was just walking around. This time I was in hospital for a full day, but there was no pain. And at some point, the doctor was like, you know what, Daphne, you need to pray for pain to come because you need the pain in order for you to be able to push the baby. If not, we might have to give you a C because you don't have contractions. So I remember that time still, she had a cord around his neck. He was weighing 5 kilograms, which is too big.
Too big.
Actually, the doctor didn't want me to have a normal birth. He checked, we did a scan. It's like, this baby is so big. I think it said 4.
3, he said 3.
No, the scan said 4. But when he later touched me, he said, but this looks like a 3 kg baby.
3,
you can push this one. Little did he know that it was actually 5. Oh. So,
and actually, he had said that if he knew that it was 5,
he would not
allow you to push.
Yeah, so I remember we walked in and he said, I have to deliver this baby. The only reason I allowed actually was because I knew he's so experienced. Yeah. He can deliver babies with cords, more so big babies. So he comes and checks me and tells me, I think you still have like 4 hours. Let me go and look out for a C-section, mom, then I come back. The moment he left like this, everything came breaking loose. Like my water broke, mucus plug, everything. I started calling the nurses. The nurses were like, no, you're not it. I'm like, you guys, I know. I'm about to have a baby. Rushed me in. I started asking, where is the doctor? I cannot give birth without that doctor. And I think they didn't want to tell me.
It's coming.
They didn't want to tell me. They just kept saying, oh, he's coming. He's coming. We've called him. Did I push? And with someone who I wasn't even sure had experience, just like that. And the baby turned out to be 5 kgs. I was like a celebrity in hospital.
I
like,
remember.
how? Like, everyone would go be like, that's the lady who pushed a 5 kg baby. But in all this, what I picked was, one, do not avoid being anxious because of other people's stories. You watch things on the internet.
Yeah, it will.
Every story is different. Above all, pray. I remember with She, actually, all these complications, God had revealed them to us even before his delivery. Maybe as we come to an end, so that is the story of our 2 babies.
What was my role, guys?
What was,
you know, it's easy for a baby to speak and you think, man, me, I was somewhere in Legacy Heights Apartments in Bugolobi. Wow, I was there, guys. Much as I love the place, it's spacious, nice, beautiful. Trust me, I was in hospital on that day. Making sure that I was working with baby, giving her exercise, giving her those massages. There's some massages, guys. You need to learn these massages for your ladies. Make sure that they say the pelvics must be strong. There's a magic ball. Baby has not talked about it there, but there's a magic ball. Through my research, I went and bought the ball. There's some big ball which, she sat on that ball and water broke actually on that ball.
Actually that ball is,
it's magic.
It's called a bathing ball.
You
need it.
You need it. If you ever get some please get that ball. Just keep sitting on it.
I think we'll probably put a picture somewhere here.
Sure, I'll put a picture for it.
It's very good.
It's a very important ball. So I made sure that I bought that ball. Baby was doing some exercises. I was doing the massage. You know, that time you must massage. Make sure that the swollen legs. You do your part. But also the most important thing, by the way, I was praying. I remember the firstborn, I was so scared, nervous. I feared even to go into the delivery room because I was like, if something happens. And that one, it was me and you, only 2 of us.
Yes, by the way, because it was so abrupt.
For our firstborn. So I was just praying. I said, God, please, let both of them come out. God, help me. I know I've sinned, but today, guys, it's not the easy thing, that pressure. For the second born, I was with the sister. I was with the Jean, so it was easy. At least she was there to give that support. So much as I was also praying, because there were a lot of complications. I remember even when she was entering the theater, she had to call her friend. They prayed, we prayed.
The delivery room.
Yeah, the delivery room. We prayed. And trust me, man, guys, God does amazing things. So, man, what can we do? Let's pray. Let's be supportive. Let's be there. Let's not feel like they're nagging. They will tell you, go and bring chips. You bring chips, they say, no, now I feel like katogo. When you bring katogo, they say, no, today I feel like guavas. That's what happened with me, with the second born. But, I mean, it's our joy.
Yeah. So what are the things that I think helped me that you can try? Number 1, exercise. Make sure at least towards the end of your pregnancy, from like 30-something weeks, start walking. You don't have to run. You don't have to go to the gym and lift, but walk. Get a hill somewhere, at least 1 kilometer every day. Make sure you're walking. Do squats if there is, if you can. That bathing ball is magic, both for before as you're preparing for the baby, but even in the delivery room. Because I didn't have it with Amma. With She, it is literally what got the things moving. You just keep bouncing on it. It goes a very, very long way. I don't know. Have you forgotten?
Eat some dates.
Eat dates, pineapple. Well, I don't know how true those things are, but just do anything. Whatever you feel will help you get into labor quicker. Sometimes it's psychological. Just do it. Above all, err on the side of caution. Put in do the research. Allow yourself to experience the process. It's tight. It's tough for most people, but it's completely worth it. You look back and you have forgotten. The other thing that people always fear are the tears. So when you give birth, you can always be sure that you're going to get a tear. But you shouldn't worry about that because the pain you'll be going through during labor, that tear is the least of your problems. Like, it seems like it's the most complicated thing, but actually you don't even feel. At that point, all you need is to just push out the baby. You've had enough strain. You've had enough pain that your body is even numb at that point. You will later feel all those tears and all the things you went through once you've given birth. But one of the things you can do to make sure the tear is not big, and this is a hack that has worked for me, it was taught to me by my midwife, push when they ask you to push. If you are on that bed and it's time to push, and they say, don't push just for the sake. Push with every moving contraction. If a contraction comes, push with it. Then stop. Wait for the next one. The temptation is to just push anyhowly. And that's how you end up with tears.
Losing energy.
Actually, Shay, who was 5 kilograms, I ended up having a very minor tear than Amma, who was 2 point something kg.
2.7.
2.7 or 8. Yeah, so push with every moving contraction, follow the guiding of the nurse, and the tears should be manageable, even for a baby that is very big. Yeah, so we've come to the end of this episode. Thank you for joining us.
Please share your experiences if you've given birth. If you're expecting, please
What
share
are
it.
you most anxious about? Let us know in the comment section and we'll answer. Till next time.
Bye-bye.
Destiny vendettas, rosy the emotional description of this love. I am yours, you are mine, the only thing that matters now.